Groove City.
Hey, what's up? I'm Lefty.
This is Rich Furniss, and welcome to another episode of Groove City.
Yes, that's right. We are very excited to bring a music and events collective. They DJ, they produce, they put on shows. Please welcome Homeroom. Welcome, guys.
What's up?
Why don't you guys introduce yourselves and tell us also your real name and your DJ names, and we'll start with that.
What's going on, everyone? Jake Generali, go by Gen Pop.
Brian Devane, professionally known as Bry Guy.
My name is Andy Ball. My DJ name is Andy. Very
Nice.
creative.
Nice.
Good
I like
symbol.
creative,
Good
creative.
symbol.
So, I've seen you guys in the scene for a while. We've done some events together and all that. How did you guys first connect?
So I'll take this one. We actually go back a long time. We started this obviously last year here, but we actually went to elementary school together, middle school together, and high school together.
Wow.
Obviously had some sporting events together. Like I was on the same basketball team as Brian growing up.
And where was that at?
We grew up in Albany.
Oh,
So
okay. Nice.
we
So
went
you
to
guys are
Bethlehem
native
High
New
School.
Yorkers.
Shout out BC Eagles,
I was just
hooligans,
there.
Eagles!
I was just there last week.
But but yeah, we started really the collective just through that relationship.
Did you guys always do music together, or was that something that kind of developed later in life? Or
Yeah, so that one, it definitely developed later in life. For as much time as we spent together growing up, we weren't always the best of friends. I remember some stories back on the gridiron with Jake where
Nice.
maybe we weren't getting along that well, but
Whoa, give us the dirt. What happened?
I won't
Now we
say
gotta
I
know.
won't say her name, but somebody liked me more than Jake,
Oh,
and
gotcha.
you know how that goes.
round one, fight!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have boxing gloves back in the back.
We'll do that in the background of the set.
All right.
I'm down.
goes back to the playground.
There you go.
Yeah,
Boom.
no kidding.
But yeah, it came later in life. I know we all started doing a lot of stuff in Vermont. Brian, he'll tell you about just DJing and having some fun. These guys, their production roots go a little bit deeper as well.
So then how did the music start? Did it start with DJing or putting events together, or kind of a combo of the two?
Well, I mean, just in terms of the music, I started piano lessons in like kindergarten. Had been doing music for as long as I can remember. But in terms of the actual DJing, I think that started like midway through high school. Andy got like a rickety old deck.
That's how we all start, baby. That's how we all start.
He put it up in his attic and like refurbished his dad's like old speakers, and we would go up there and basically just watch him like figure it out, and from there we figured it out and kind of transitioned it. And when I was in college in Vermont, was in a band called 2%, like the milk. And
Nice.
from there,
Was that the whole band name? 2%
I,
like the milk?
just 2%, just 2%.
I had a feeling, but I just felt obligated to ask.
2% as in the milk.
Yeah.
But that led to some opportunities to book like Vermont venues. And there were a couple weekends where these guys both came up from Connecticut and Ithaca to Vermont, and we
You guys
did some
partying.
wild events there. So that's kind of
That's
how
cool.
it started, I'd say.
What kind
Well-
of like artists like got you guys into DJing at the
Ooh.
time? Like what kind of like stuff
So-
were you playing?
I would say like I was in college doing like electronic dance music. I was in a production duo. So I was releasing remixes for a few years, like
Oh,
official
nice.
remixes.
Under a different name? Or Gen
Yeah,
Pop?
under a different name with a college buddy of mine. So that kind of got my foot in the door of like producing. But I'd say inspiration wise, like I'll take it back to like Deadmau5, Cascade. Like that's
that
when
what
I
your
first really
remixes?
started doing. No, I actually remixed Khalid, obviously the
Okay.
big artist
But
Khalid.
in the style of like that kind of more aggressive,
Yeah,
like EDM.
kind of like dance poppy stuff.
Yeah.
So like more just free flowing electronic, big saws, stuff like
Nice.
that. Which obviously now that kind of sound is on its way out, I would say. So into more of the real traditional house music
Yeah,
now, which is
yeah,
nice.
Nice.
so like with you guys, I actually like that you guys kind of like one person got the decks and you guys kind of all learned together. Do you feel like it was easier for you guys to like learn DJing and like all that stuff because you kind of had that like camaraderie and like you guys being able to work together on that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Doing that together was just a way to spend the weekend. It wasn't like there was no ambition behind it really. For me, it was kind of a born out of necessity. and wanting to go to college and DJ some parties. So I was always home on break DJing with these guys, and it was like, hey, you guys want to come over and mix? And like Brian said, I start mixing a little bit. Next guy comes up and tries a little transition here and there, and then we just slowly progress together for no other reason than just liking to hang out with each other and DJ a little bit.
Yeah. And then you have that one college party that you just shred, and you're like, I need to do this all the time.
Bro, I had that moment for sure.
Yeah, everybody gets that. That's it. You get the itch.
I think we all had that experience where, like, when I was in school, I had a couple big old like ragers, and I was like, I'm the man. Like, I want to keep doing this. So that kind of just fueled it. And I think Andy came up to Ithaca for a weekend, and we threw an absolute like rager back to back. So then I think just those experiences, like you mentioned, like really fueled us to like, all right, maybe we should move here together. Maybe try to like throw some parties together, and then kind of kick it from there.
So that's what happened. You guys were like, okay, this is awesome. Let's move to New York City together and start doing it there on a more serious level.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think if we take it like way, way back, just like I remember sending like Facebook messages to these guys with like UKF dubstep links. Like, dude, you gotta check out this song. Like, this one's an absolute.
I may have sent a few of those links myself. I won't lie.
Bullseye, yell, you know what you're getting.
That kid was like 16 or something.
Oh, I know.
He was like super young, and he was like throwing like shows all over the world for a while.
Damn.
Yeah.
From there, I think one of the major turning points for me is like my first festival, like actual festival. I remember seeing like we got there at like 12 noon or 1 o'clock and roll up into this small tent, and it's these relatively unknown guys. Louis the Child. This is like 2014. They're playing at like 1 p.m. It was like one of the coolest sets we've ever seen. We met them afterwards, and they like came out, said what up to all the fans, and from there it was like, I want to learn how to do that. Like, we should.
I think it's cool thinking about like you guys as a collective, and also like the collective here, the building that we're in, is like having that camaraderie. I think really pushes a lot of artists, right? Having that person where you can go. And I think like I DJ'd forever, but like when I got to college, we used to do this like rhythm roulette kind of thing where we do 3 songs for 3 songs. We'd purposely try to fuck people up on the last song to be like, oh, can you mix into this? Oh, this like is not off the grid, or like the tempo on this changes, or there's like a weird key change or something happens. And we used to do that. And like, that would always strive, at least for me and like my group of friends, like very similar to you guys, to like try to get better and like improving on our skills and stuff.
You know, I think you still have some of that itch, Ricky, because we've done a lot of B2Bs. And you usually try to fuck me up a little bit. And I'm like, why?
I'm neither confirming nor denying.
Yeah, okay. Touche.
When's the next B2B? I want to be in the front row.
That's a good question. Yeah, we'll
Next
figure it
Friday.
out. Yeah, it is going to be next Friday.
I'll be in the front row.
I want to dive into more of your guys' career here in New York, but I want to hear a little bit about the mix that you guys are going to be doing. Right after this will be in the playlist for you guys to check out. Is there a song that you guys definitely know that you are going to throw into the mix for today? And what's the purpose behind it? What's the connection with that song?
So I know for me, I want to throw something in there. Might be one of those songs that everyone's heard. I hope they haven't heard too much, but Just Be Good to Me by Earth and Days.
Oh, yeah.
I love those guys.
I love those guys.
Absolute throwback.
They've signed a few records.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Funny story about them, actually. Signed a couple records with them, and the main guy who runs it, Laszlo, for some reason I misread his name the first time as Lazio, and I called him that forever until like last week. I was like, oh shit, it's Laszlo. All right, my bad.
Which might have been that big of a deal.
Yeah. Anyway, continue on. I'm sorry to cut you off.
So that one, I think now my sound especially, and you'll kind of hear this in the mix, we go all over the place sometimes. But for me, I really like funk and groove and disco origin
my language, baby.
Kind of stuff. And I can remember this song being one of those first ones that I heard where it was like, hold on a second, this is pretty sexy.
Yeah.
And so the first gig that I ever did when I moved to New York was with this guy. I played that song, and I just remember being up on this rooftop, listening to it with everyone, not ever having had that experience with the song before. And I want to bring that into the mix a little bit to tell somewhat of a story, to say, this is kind of what got me started in this trajectory, and then play some other songs that'll say, this is maybe
where you're
something I played along the way, and here's something that I'm really digging right now.
I love that. I love that. Well, talking about the journey, you guys are now in New York City, right? And you guys have been doing events, or at least I've been aware of a lot of your guys' events for like the last year and a half or so. What was it like diving into the New York event scene and DJ scene? What did you guys start off by doing all of your own events? Did you kind of like start by booking your own stuff? Like, kind of tell me about that journey.
I would say like it was tough. We were, you know, fresh faces in the city, really didn't have any connections. Really, it was just us three trying to like carve our own paths. So I would say like just diving into those emails to venues, trying to really find anyone that would take us in to play a show. That was really what we were doing. So it took us definitely some time to coordinate and really get our name out there. But once we kind of got our foot in there, we had some experience to start booking more.
Where was the first party at? Who gave you guys the first step into it?
Well, so the first real, I would say, homeroom party that we had was at Purgatory in Brooklyn. It's like a 80 cap space. They were super friendly. Oh yeah, it's like pretty deep Bushwick.
Yeah.
You know, what I would say is like part of the motivation to start throwing our own events is like we moved here and we really wanted to start DJing, like get into the DJ scene a little bit. And what I would say is like we had a couple experiences with like, you know, obviously being fresh faces in the scene with like more experienced promoters and things like that are booking. And I would say we really had a couple of like real like welcome to New York type of like experiences within that, and kind of quickly figured out like, you know, our morals, if you will, and our vision for some of these events that we want to throw. And yeah, that kind of that was definitely part of the motivation, because we wanted to foster a specific feel and environment and mood within those events, and didn't feel like we were necessarily you know, able to capitalize on that just getting booked DJing with no control over anything else.
Right.
Yeah. Almost like you guys knew what you wanted, and instead of like, it's really hard to necessarily find somebody else who's doing it, you wanted to do it yourself so that you could create what you felt would be the best experience.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I also think Brian's being very nice about some of the people we met along the way. I just remember, you know, I've been doing this for so long, and here I am trying to get booked. And sure, it's you're a fresh face, and it doesn't always work out for you. But I just remember being a little disgruntled, and we had this experience, and we said, if we want to DJ, if we want to do shows, why don't we just do it ourselves? And so we started. Like, I remember going to Bushwick on a random Friday afternoon, going from bar to bar, just kind of walking in and saying, hey, is there a manager here? Like, can I talk to someone about booking an event?
It's the way to do it.
And we eventually got a few shows, and then finally we were ready to launch Homeroom. And yeah, that was not even a year ago.
That's
Anniversary coming up
progress.
on April 22nd.
And now you guys are doing like awesome venues and stuff all around. I mean, I went to your guys' party at TBA not too long ago.
Yeah.
Which is great. So you guys have come a long way pretty fast, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. You want to give us a little toot of our own horn, Jake?
Yeah. Toot the horn.
I mean, I'm still, when I look back like at the last year and like where we started, the first ever thing that we did where we booked this place called Jade Bar. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yeah.
There's like this little back room where we were able to like, I had to lug all my own shit there, excuse the language, and like set up all of our own stuff. And it was this room that you could fit like 30 people in. And that was like our first like DJing in New York City experience. And we had like our friends come through, and it was a lot of fun. Like I remember that still to this day. Like it fueled like the like following events that we did. We did a few of them on Thursdays, and then we're like, all right, let's break in. We got to get a Friday and really do our own thing. And then from then until now, you know, this past summer we booked out Bogart House and had a headline by the name of Kai William, who you guys might be familiar with. We have just, you know, some really, really cool shows coming up next week. I'll plug it with Wev at the Williamsburg Water Tower that sold out in, you know, 3 days.
Yeah, I saw that. Amazing, man.
So really from where we started to where we are now, I think it's like a testament to like, we do work really hard at it. We're really like, we're trying to make it. So I think that's really what we're all about.
I've seen it happen with a lot of promoters. Like these other guys here in New York started kind of just doing some parties with their friends, and now they've blown up and are doing huge events at Mirage and stuff like that. So I think you just kind of start putting it together, then you're able to get the budgets for bigger names and start doing bigger venues, and then it all just kind of transpires. So I think you guys are definitely well on your way. was also going to say some of those parties that you kind of throw on your own, we have to bring your own gear, are sometimes the best ones. Like, I haven't done that too many times. I actually have one epic Halloween party that I did a long time ago with my buddy Ryland above what's now the Patagonia store in Williamsburg on North 6. And like, we rented out the space. It was just a big flat, and we just did like a $5 door. We brought in the sound system. We brought in all the talent, and it was an epic night. Unforgettable.
Yeah, I feel very similarly. And, you know, part of who we have to thank for our success is like some of the connections that we've made doing this. Like you guys, I can name Aaron from Lunar Lounge, Erez from Say Yes, like too many names to really get into. But I mean, one example that I can give is we were looking at doing a show at East Hay, which is unfortunately closed now, but really cool space. It's like a rooftop enclosed. And Aaron and Erez had previously done a show there. It was in the summer for Aaron's birthday. We were talking about all the logistics that went into it, and they were basically talking about how the elevator at the place was shut down that day, and they had to bring all of their rental equipment up 6 flights of stairs, all of the monitors, the decks,
That's
like
rough.
all the speakers. And it was like 95 degrees that day. So, you know, just some of the things that can come up as like roadblocks when you are doing your own thing. Yeah, you DJ'd there too.
Yeah.
These are the things you don't realize.
I didn't even know that.
It, man.
Yeah. Lucky Ricky, you didn't even have to carry anything up the stairs either.
Just a perfect example of
I
like
heat exhaustion from
when
DJing.
No, I mean just a perfect example of like when you are throwing your own events, there are certain things you don't think about that go into it. Like, and you know that mentoring is really important to, you know, get your foot in the right direction, in the right door. So I totally agree with that sentiment.
With that mentor thing. So, you know, we're at a school right now, Sound Collective. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Shout out.
Hey, what advice would you give somebody who's fresh to New York, who wants to start DJing and throwing events? You know, what are some things to be aware of, and what are some things to be careful about? You know what I mean? And how would you advise somebody to be able to do what you guys are doing right now?
Yeah, I think with that, the one thing that I could say, well, I'll say two things that are very positive about our experience. You'll very quickly realize, and hopefully realize before you even go out on your own, that the community is very accepting, and it is a lot of work. It is difficult, but I don't think it's nearly as difficult as people might think.
Mm-hmm.
The prospect at the beginning of doing some of the shows that we're doing now is just like, how are we ever going to get there? And then you get there, and it's through the support of your friends and the support of your colleagues and other people in the scene. So if you're thinking about doing it, if it's something you want to do not be afraid whatsoever, because I think there are people to help you along the way, and it'll come. And then I think the other thing I would say is everyone that's out there, wherever they are on the spectrum of the New York City music scene, I think they want to see each other win, and they're people. So many interactions I've had. I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of really cool people. Some people a year ago I may have looked at and said, wow, they're, you know, I'm putting them on a pedestal almost. And then one way or another, I end up meeting them. We have a great conversation. We, you know, dap each other up, shake hands at the end of it, say, nice to meet you, see you later. And I'm always left thinking, wow, like I never would have thought this person would be that cool, that generous, that open. And they always are, whoever it is. So with that sentiment, if you want to go forward, don't be afraid to do it, and be prepared to meet some really cool people that are just going to be either good to hang out with, good to meet, or really helpful along the way.
Yeah, you kind of just got to go for it, I think, and your path will be, you know.
The first step is the hardest.
Yeah,
The
dive
one
into
thing-
the deep end.
The one thing I want to add to that is like, I think something that we held strong and did, which I think is a really, really good piece of advice, is like, now that you're here, like if you really want to start something in New York City, like go out and go meet people. Like, I think that is like the best piece of advice that I could give. Like, we would go out to just random events, even if we had nothing to do with it. If we weren't like playing, or we're just trying to go support our friends, whatever it may be, just showing up and just being there, you never know who you're going to run into. And I think that experience alone, like, led us to meeting some really cool people in the city, like you said, and then you start forging that relationship. And then 2 months down the road, now you're working on an event together. So like just go out and go places, go to shows, go meet people. I think that's like honestly the best piece of advice that I could give on that.
You got to be part of the scene, you know, to be involved with it in any other way. And I was agreeing with what you were saying too, because there's definitely been some people that I've like seen out there and I'm like, oh man, that person's probably untouchable. And then it's like, oh, you never realize how easily accessible some people are and how nice they'll end up being when they're like maybe a little intimidating.
Everybody's just people. And like the real ones, I feel like the ones who have long-term success at least are the ones who are open, who just want to see the scene in general, New York City music scene, New York City house scene, however you want to look at it, hip hop scene, even whatever scene you're in, to flourish and to grow. And, you know, those are the people who are really doing it, in my opinion. You always have some people who are going to try to gatekeep and who are going to try to do it, but you also notice that they're only able to make it so far because they are closing themselves off to the rest of the community in a way. But I want to dive into a little bit more about what you guys have planned for the future. Let's go ahead and give me another song that you guys are thinking about playing for the mix real quick.
Yeah, so one that I can say is a couple guys that we're trying to get down here in May, later May, a group from Montreal by the name of Lucas and Alex. They've got a really cool track called Transition. So that's going to be in the mix. And then one more that I can mention is one of the first connections we made down here. One of the nicest guys I know by the name of Ethan, formerly known as Maliv. This is a track that is coming out with his new alias called In Touch. It's a very cool track.
Nice. Man's got a lot of names.
Yeah.
Shout out Ethan, man. He's one of the guys that we started doing Homeroom with. We did our
cool.
first run of shows with him, so definitely want to put him on.
Did you guys go to college with him then?
No, we just met him doing exactly what we just
here.
mentioned. Just met him here at going out to shows, just being in the community and started doing shows with him.
So
love to hear that.
So what do you guys have planned for the future? Like, where do you guys want to go with this Homeroom collective? You know, more events, bigger events. I know you guys are working on some production, some bigger DJ sets, kind of like what's in store?
Yeah, I'll start. I think right now we've kind of, to start this year off, we've been really diving into just honing in on our brand and our identity. So we're really, really excited on the progress we've been making on like putting out the Homeroom brand for everyone to see and essentially like our logo and everything, the aesthetic around it. I think we've done a good job our first year with some of the after show and after party like deliverables that we really utilize. So like disposable pictures that people can access that, you know, they can post on their Instagram or whatever. Really honing in on our brand, discovering what we want to look like to the consumer that's really going to be coming and wanting to be a part of the Homeroom brand, I think is what we're diving into now, which is exciting for me because I've been really, you know, looking forward to us really launching something that's authentic and original. And I'll let Andy kind of speak on some of the shows that we got coming up because we have some in store that are pretty damn exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I won't give too many details. I don't want to spoil it for everyone. We're building this up to be something really special, but you can expect us starting in May through, I think it's the end of October. We're going to be doing a series of shows that runs in Williamsburg in Brooklyn. It's going to be the last Saturday of every month. And the intention behind that is to be, it's going to be a spotlight for people, for local artists. And part of that is going to be establishing a relationship where we can help them grow as individuals. I think we bring a lot of different experiences to the table where we can help people, whether it's getting more bookings or putting themselves forward and promoting themselves a little bit more as a producer and anything within that realm. We want to help them get a little bit better. So we're going to put them on a show, and one that they absolutely deserve to be on. And then in the background, we're going to be helping them kind of develop their brand, kind of like we're doing now, and get some deliverables and some stuff out there that's going to help them progress after the show that we do.
Cool.
So I think that's a real, looking forward, that's kind of where we want to take Homeroom. We want to continue doing events. We want to do bigger and more consistent events as well. But we also want to get into the music and collective side of things where we're helping nurture people, helping them grow their careers and helping to do that stuff.
Help some up-and-coming artists grow.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Giving back to the community that helped build you guys.
Amen.
I love that.
And like in doing so, like we're really going to showcase like what Homeroom's all about, like our brand and how we're going to look. And I think leading up to that for us is like a really gratifying thing. So.
No, I mean, again, these are things that it's really hard to convey an identity digitally. And so we didn't want to jump into something right away that we didn't feel like conveyed our identity accurately. Luckily, we've got our friend Gunnar, who's a really talented creative designer. It's, if you're not a professional at that, graphic design type of thing, you're going to be really hard pressed to be able to develop some sort of brand and brand identity. And, it's not something you really think of when you're trying to get into event production and things like that. But I think it only plays into the, the environment that we build at the shows themselves, and moving into the future, like the potential music that we're going to put out, the more relationships that we build, having it be associated with, feel good, not necessarily like that, but it's I think it's going to be really exciting to actually see that come to fruition, having talked about it for a year plus, and kind of waiting to pull the trigger on it.
Do you guys have any dream venues that you want to do something at? Like, is there like
Yeah.
you guys have like something already in mind that you're like, okay, we're going to get this by like next year?
Yeah.
Like
I would say we definitely are trying to get a date at Elsewhere. I mean, we've been going to shows there for a while, so I think realistically that's one of our really kind of closely attainable goals that we're working to do.
It's definitely in the new pipeline for you guys.
Kind of like down the road, like, I don't know, if we can get our name on something at Superior Ingredients, like whether it be like promotion and booking someone else, or even over at like Avon or something, if we can get our name on that, on a show of that caliber, I think that's definitely a goal of ours collectively.
Yeah, and then anything in the realm of that general area, really, 99 Scott would be awesome. Silo just came out and it looks wicked.
Have you been there yet? I haven't been to Silo yet.
I haven't been there yet. Yeah, it looks amazing. All the videos are awesome. We also have that one venue, Hollow. I'll be going there tomorrow to see Winey do some drum and bass, which is going to be sick.
That'll be fun.
But those kind of spaces as well. We have some pretty cool ideas that we could do there. So if anyone has a warehouse space and they want to put a show, just let us know, because
I'll load the sound system.
We'll help you out. Yeah.
Very cool.
So where can people find you guys online?
So I would say right now our Homeroom Instagram page, homeroom.music, is our most accessible place to find us and what we're doing. We are actually at the moment really kind of revamping our socials in terms of having more of a presence on like Twitter and TikTok potentially, kind of just nailing in the pieces to that. But I would say we utilize Instagram the most. And then really just word of mouth, I think, has been a huge, huge thing for us. But homeroom.music at Instagram, that's where you're going to find us. In most
What about your
events.
individual IGs?
So you'll find me at It's Gen Pop on Instagram and at It's Gen Pop on Twitter. I'm pretty active on the Instagram, so that's where you can find me.
You can find me at funkle.b, as in fun Uncle B.
This one stems all the way back from middle school. It's at ball under Andy, the word under. Maybe they'll put it up on the screen or something for me. That would help. That's my Instagram as well. You can come look at pictures of me.
If it helps, I read it the first time I saw it. The first couple of times I was like, oh, Bolunder Andy.
I think they have to get that figured out because people.
Yeah,
they're both trying to describe how to like pronunciate their name. Or whatever.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see Bry Guy doing dances on TikTok. So let's get that going.
Yeah, but also I forgot to mention we're gonna try to get ourselves onto a YouTube presence too. So stuff like that
cool.
will be coming with mixes and potentially some short videos, mixed videos, stuff like that, which we're also in the process of developing too.
And just to touch on it really quick, you guys were talking a little bit about some production and stuff that you guys have coming up. Do you want to mention that a little bit? Yeah. Some things that you have coming?
Yeah, definitely. I've got a couple original releases in the pipeline. Sent them to a couple labels, but if they don't bite, I'm just going to release them myself. Have had success with that with the band in the past. So we'll see how it goes.
Into the world, baby.
Nice.
But yeah, Jake's got some releases lined up as well. So
Yeah, man. I got one coming out on the 28th of April on Bobbin Head. It's kind of a funky disco label based out of Australia, and the DJ Husky. I don't know if you guys are familiar.
Of course,
He runs that. So pretty excited about that. Made that track with my buddy Tonus, who's also a New York City guy who you guys might have seen.
You sent it to me. It's a
I
banger.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely excited about that because haven't gotten a track out now in a bit. So I think I'm crafting a sound. I've got a couple of good ideas that are being passed around. So
Sweet.
really excited about getting some music out there.
That's when you sent me also, I think, right?
I did.
And you're like, that's all you had to say? Because I was like, it sounds great. You're like, that's it? I was
Oh no,
like,
I
didn't have
like
any
the
comments.
I like the feedback because you know, as a producer, like you
Yeah.
listen to your mix way too many times and you just
Yeah, it
start,
starts to get numb
you
to
just
it.
start ruining it, and then
Yeah.
you feel like you gotta fix
No,
it
that
up.
was a very dope record. So that's exciting.
I'm gonna be playing that today in the mix too, so be on the
Check it out.
lookout
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, I want to thank Sound Collective for having us in this beautiful facility. We're here at 28 Broadway. There's a multitude of programs that you guys can check out here. We have membership where you guys can come in and utilize all this amazing gear that's behind us. We have a recording studio, production rooms, live streaming room, practice rooms, live performance space. We have online subscription and certificate where you guys can learn at your own pace online. We have private lessons, anything that you guys need to do to continue your musical journey. I want to thank you guys for coming on our show for Groove City.
Thank
Make
you.
sure you guys check them out on socials. I am Rich Furniss.
I'm Lefty, and we'll catch you guys later.